It is exactly 3:52 a.m. local time on January 22, 2026. Deep in the frozen Russian heartland, over 720 miles from the Ukrainian frontier, the Kazan Gorbunov Aviation Plant looms like a shadowed colossus amid the endless snow. The temperature plummets to minus 18 degrees Celsius. The air cracks with brittle cold, every breath a dagger. This is Moscow's ironclad sanctuary, the sole forge on Earth where the Tu-160M White Swan takes flight, a supersonic harbinger of nuclear fury, embodying Russia's unyielding global grasp. To the Ministry of Defense, Kazan is impenetrable, cocooned in the planet's most formidable air defense web, S-400s, Pantsirs, and radar eyes that never blink. Yet, as crystalline frost etches the Volga's surface, an insidious low-frequency thrum pierces the silence, invisible to every sensor, heralding the unimaginable. This isn't a single missile, it isn't a lone pilot, it's the opening chord of a digital symphony, one that, in just 2 hours, will shatter and redefine the rules of century warfare. To grasp why Ukraine would stake everything on this audacious raid, you need to truly comprehend the target. The Gorbunov plant isn't merely a factory, it's a living ecosystem, the beating heart of Russia's strategic aviation. Within its vast hangars reside irreplaceable treasures, specialized CNC machines, ghosts of pre-sanctioned Western imports, meticulously crafting the colossal titanium pivots for the Tu-160's variable sweep wings. This is also the cradle of the NK-32 Series 2 engines, the mightiest power plants ever fitted to a combat aircraft, propelling the White Swan to supersonic speeds with nuclear payloads in tow. Down a bomber in mid-flight, and Russia simply rolls out a replacement from the assembly line. But obliterate the precision machinery and the elite technicians at Kazan? You extinguish the White Swan lineage forever, turning a fleet into fossils. Ukraine wasn't aiming for a mere disruption. They were executing a calculated strategic decapitation, severing the head to cripple the beast. 4:12 a.m. The operation begins with a lie. 2 Ukrainian F-16s, flying at the absolute limit of their fuel range, hug the border. They do not cross. Instead, they release a cluster of miniature air-launched decoy jammers. These small, jet-powered drones are designed to do one thing: scream electronically. As they cross into Russian airspace, their internal suites broadcast the radar signature of a massive formation of B-1B Lancer bombers. To the S-400 Triumph batteries stationed around Kazan, it looks like a full-scale NATO intervention. The Russian command bunkers erupt into chaos. Operators stare at phosphor screens, filled with dozens of high-speed targets. The S-400 is a masterpiece of engineering, but it is governed by logic, and logic can be exploited. Faced with a saturation strike, the Russian commanders do exactly what they were trained to do. They authorized the launch of 40 N-6E long-range interceptors. Each missile costs over approximately $1 million, and within minutes, tens of millions of dollars worth of Russian interceptors are screaming into the stratosphere. They vaporize nothing but electronic cardboard. Ukraine has forced the outer defensive ring to blink, creating a 20-minute window of radar clutter and reloading time. One S-400 battery briefly registers a contact that doesn't fit the decoy profile. For 12 seconds, the entire operation hangs on whether a junior officer trusts his screen or the doctrine drilled into him. While the S-400s are busy chasing ghosts, the real threat is already 280 miles deep into Russian territory. This is the Vanguard, a mixed formation of 44 Bober drones and 24 Lyuchi long-range strike UAVs. They move in a V formation to minimize their radar cross-section, but the Lyuchi drones are playing a specialized role. They aren't just bombs, they are motherships. Beneath their wings, they carry a parasite payload, a new generation of high-speed, long-range FPV drones. By carrying these smaller drones deep into the interior, Ukraine solved the biggest weakness of FPVs: battery life. The Lyuchi provides the bus service. The FPVs are the passengers. not all of them ride smoothly. One Liuchi reports a delayed release. Another sheds its payload early, scattering drones miles short of their intended drop point. 5:02 a.m. As the swarm approaches the Kazan outskirts, Russia activates its black hole defense. The Krasuka 4 electronic warfare system powers up. This is a monster of a machine. For a radius of 52 miles, the sky becomes an electromagnetic wasteland. GPS signals are obliterated. In any previous conflict, this would be the end. Drones relying on satellites would fly in circles or crash. The Russian operators, seeing the GPS jammed indicators, likely shared a moment of relief. They believed they had just toggled off the Ukrainian brain. But they were wrong. The 2026 spec Ukrainian drones don't need satellites. The moment the GPS signal flatlines, the onboard AI kicks into silent hunter mode. This technology is known as visual odometry. High-speed cameras analyze the ground, the movement of shadows, roads, and buildings at 50 frames per second. The AI calculates its position relative to the map burned into its silicon memory. It is the same technology used in self-driving cars, adapted for carnage. The Krasuka 4 is screaming into a void. The drones are navigating by sight. 5:25 a.m. The Liuti motherships reach the 25-mile red zone. In a synchronized release, 100 FPV drones detach. These are streamlined carbon fiber bolts, powered by brushless motors, hitting 110 miles per hour. They drop to an altitude of just 12 feet. They perform street skimming, weaving through the industrial outskirts of Kazan, using apartment blocks as shields against the radar. They enter the factory complex, not from the sky, but from the gaps between the buildings. The swarm splits into 3 distinct strike packages. Strike Package Alpha, the nervous system. 22 FPV drones head for the Stepnaya substation. Modern aircraft manufacturing is energy-intensive. Without stabilized power, the precision CNC machines will seize, ruining multi-million-dollar components instantly. 5:40 a.m. The drones impact the main transformers. Thermite warheads burn through the casing. Electrical arcs light up the Kazan sky in a sickly blue. The factory plunges into darkness. Backup generators kick in, but the sudden surge fries the delicate control boards of the assembly line robotics. The nervous system is dead. Strike Package Bravo, the Swans. 44 FPV drones swarm the main assembly hangar, Building 11. They find the ventilation shafts. They find the door seals. Using AI object recognition, they ignore the floor sweepers. They look for the white swans. They target the most complex part of the airframe, the variable sweep wing mechanism. A Tu-160 is useless if its wings cannot sweep. The drones detonate their tandem warheads directly into the massive titanium pivot joints. In seconds, $700 million worth of strategic bombers are turned into scorched, twisted scrap. Strike Package Charlie, the heart. The final wave is the most surgical. Their target is the NK-32 engine storage. These engines involve single crystal turbine blades and ceramic coatings that are impossible to manufacture under sanctions. Guided by 3D blueprints, the drones fly directly into the exhaust nozzles and compressor fans. They use incendiary charges to melt the turbine blades. They ensure that even if the factory structure survives, the bombers will never have the engines to fly. In the final minutes, the Russian point defenses, the Pantsir S-1 and Tor M2, finally managed to manually track the attackers. The night fills with the roar of 30mm autocannons. They down 25 drones. But it is a mathematical impossibility. For every drone they destroy, 2 more are already inside the hangars. This is kinetic saturation. You don't need to be invisible if you are too numerous to stop. 5:53 a.m. A massive secondary explosion rocks the facility. One of the FPV drones has found the specialized lubricant and jet fuel storage. The resulting thermal event is so intense, it is picked up by weather satellites. The heat compromises the structural steel of the main hangar. The roof collapses onto the charred remains of the production line. The White Swan factory isn't just damaged, it is a smoldering graveyard of Russian ambition. A night shift technician on the edge of the facility never sees the drones, only the firestorm that turns his workplace into a horizon of burning metal. As the sun rises over the ruins of Kazan, the true scale of the return on investment becomes clear. Ukraine spent approximate $3 million, F-16 fuel, decoys, 100 drones. Russia lost an estimated $2 to $5 billion in assets. But the financial cost is secondary. The real loss is time. You cannot buy a 15-year master technician who specializes in titanium welding. You cannot download a 5-axis CNC machine that is no longer sold to your country. Ukraine didn't just destroy planes, they destroyed the capacity to build them. The Kazan raid of 2026 marks a seismic turning point in military history, reshaping global power dynamics and exposing deep vulnerabilities in modern defenses. It shattered the myth of invincibility, proving that the electronic shield, once seen as the ultimate barrier against drones, is now obsolete, at least in this phase of the arms race. The key takeaway? If a drone can visually lock onto its target via advanced AI, it can deliver a fatal strike, cutting through any electronic jamming or countermeasures thrown its way. This has left the Kremlin in strategic paralysis, facing an impossible choice. If Kazan, a heavily fortified site deep in Russia's interior, isn't secure, then no critical asset is. Redeploying S-400 systems from the front lines to protect factories nationwide would require years of effort, time that's slipping away as drone technology surges forward. The Tu-160M White Swan, Russia's symbol of aerial supremacy and nuclear might, has been humbled, now representing fragility in the rise of AI drone swarms. We're stepping into a world where a $5,200 AI drone, built from accessible parts and software, can dismantle a $260 million bomber, turning warfare into a stark economic mismatch. Superpower barriers are eroding. No longer do nations need massive budgets to wield influence. Clever code and innovation suffice. Russia invested billions in a defensive wall, only for Ukraine to bypass it with a $2 million ladder of smart tech, highlighting how agility outpaces fortification. What's your take? Is the AI swarm the great equalizer? Or will defenses adapt with lasers, adaptive AI, or quantum tech to regain control? Drop "swarm" in the comments if you think traditional heavy hardware is doomed, or "shield" if you believe countermeasures will evolve to counter the threat. I'd love your insights to fuel the debate. These shifts are unfolding in real time. If you're hooked on the strategy, tech, and numbers driving today's conflicts like I am, hit subscribe and enable notifications. It's quick, costs nothing, and keeps you ahead of the curve while supporting more content like this. Thanks, buddy.